Welcome to Ag on Wheels. Today, we find ourselves in Tula, Texas with Dennis and Gibbs Keeton. We're going to talk all about their farming practices, and they actually do things a little different, which makes them extremely unique. So you guys ready to go show me around?
You bet. You bet.
Can you handle it?
I think so.
I hope so. Let's go. All right, guys, so behind us we have this big pile of silage. Explain to me what it is, what does it do, how does it play an influential role in your operation?
It's corn silage grown right here on our place. It's a cheap source of energy and feed. It cheapens up our gain a lot and gives us options to stay in the cattle market all year round.
And another big thing is it guarantees our weights. They all are contracted to go out at a certain date, and it gives us flexibility about hitting the dates, and insurance policy is what it really is.
Hey, insurance, it helps us out when we need it, most of the time. A lot of people at home may not know exactly what silage is, and I want you to explain that, and how do you manage it?
Well, ours is corn silage. You can make different silage, like wheatlage and haylage out of alfalfa and different stuff, but we primarily corn silage, and it's the whole corn plant when it's still green, chopped, very small. The big part of it is how it's put up and packed and preserved. It plays a big role in your quality of feed, and we take great pride in packing our silage and doing a good job and making a good pile for the quality of feed.
And so we were talking earlier about the quality. Let's say this is corn silage and you use the Pro to ensure that good crop. Does the yield of your crop affect your silage?
Yes, very much so. We grow our corn to make the absolute most grain we can, and we get basically retail for our corn, so we can spend more than a corn farmer some too, because the quality of feed comes directly out of our cattle, so that's a plus that we've got, and we can spend more on it and make a better grain crop, and it just makes better feed and more efficient.
Dennis, you had something really special and unique happen to you this year, quite different, and it worked out in your favor. Tell me about it.
We grew a first silage crop of corn, harvested in July, and we planted a second crop of corn the 28th of July. We just chopped it, finished it up Sunday, and it did real well, made about a little over 19 tons to the acre, which we didn't know what to expect. We'd never done it before, but with our fertility and the irrigation and everything, it worked out real good, and we was very proud.
Dennis, you farm on the Red River bottom, which has to be challenging. And so what resources and what parts of technology have you used to ensure that you get that crop?
One of the big things is that all along this river, the soil types are variable. You might have a heavy loam soil and have sand right next to it. We variable rate it, take soil samples, and that's one of the big things. Being able to do 2 crops in 1 year, and we used the Acron for weed control, and then we come in, and even on this second crop, we knew what the late season might be, so we put Pro on it to keep the stalk health, the plant health and everything good, and it really worked out very good.
I want you to tell me a little bit about what got you into this operation. tell me about the impact that your family had on you.
I'm the third generation. My grandfather on my mother's side pretty well put the whole operation, the land and everything together, and that's just all I've wanted to do since I've been here all my life, and that's just the things that the farming, the cattle, the living in the country and staying in the country is my love and what I wanted to do, and I was able to do it, and been very thankful that I had the opportunity that we did.
How did your dad and your granddad get started?
Well, my granddad started back in the Depression or before, got to where he could rent land and then buy some land and put it together. Over the years, had people sharecropping and farming with him, and he always was doing something either here on the farm or was able to haul cotton and do other things. So I always had income coming in when a lot of people didn't have the means to go out and do that kind of stuff. My mother was always at home and always took care of us and some hard hands, and that she was real instrumental when she was young, cooking for 7 or 8, 10 hired hands from the time she was 12 to kind of all of her life, and that's what she did here. And my dad, after my granddaddy passed away, started running the farm and the cattle and what was here that was left of them.
Wendy, or should I say the boss? Because we all know behind every good man is a better woman, right?
No, not in this case.
Tell me a little bit about your role that you play in this operation, and how do you try to support him?
Support what he does. I love seeing, because him and my son love what they're doing, and they've got to have support. And I've driven a truck before, many years ago, before I got my education, and so just whatever needed done.
I bet you drive a truck better than I do, I promise you that. I'm not the best driver. Dennis, where we're standing right now, and this house behind us, has a very special place in your heart. Tell us the story.
This is the only home I knew all my life. I mean, and I just moved a few hundred yards down the road, but it's still where I was raised, played as a child in the big yard and the trees, and we had a lot of special holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, a lot of family, and
There's no place like home.
there's no place like home.
Dennis, I want you to elaborate a little bit on your granddad, Dennis Gibbs.
Dennis Gibbs was the one that put this place together. He decided that he had to go do something on his own. At the age of 11 years old, he left home. There was probably some kinfolks here in Texas that he come and stayed with and started working for, and thought that he could farm and run cattle and ranch, and he managed to start putting it together, and he couldn't read or write, and finally he had the fortune of the bankers up in Bonham liked him a lot too, and they become partners with him, and he managed to put several thousand acres of land together and was really doing good, and had a heart attack and died at a young age of 54. But he left all this, and that's what means so much to Gibbs and I, and thinking back what he did and what he went through to leave this with us.
You talk about the American dream and finding good people with a good support system.
That's right.
That's what your granddad was about.
That's right.
Live an example. Gibbs, your entire operation has several components. Cattle being one, which I call you the boss of.
Yeah.
Tell me about what you do with the cattle.
Well, we're a yearling operation. We buy light calves and grow them to, say, around 800 pounds, and basically sell everything that we farm and grow through our cattle. What pushes the whole operation is the cattle.
What makes your cattle operation so unique?
I would just say that the way we can maximize what acres we have. We farm for the cattle, and we can grow so much feed with the silage to maximize our acres where we can run the most possible cattle we can, and it lets us always hit our gains consistently. So if, you know, in some years you're not growing as much grass or forage as you like to, we have enough feed to supplement them to keep them gaining and keep our weights where they're supposed to be whenever we're selling cattle.
But these new cattle that are coming in, are they accustomed to silage, or do they have to be kind of eased into it?
Oh no, not at all, because there's not, especially our cattle, almost all of them come off of cow-calf operations, so most of them have not seen much feed at all in their life. So we have to get them in here, and we put them in these pens and precondition and get them straightened out and ease them onto a silage ration, because it takes a little while for them to get used to it and be palatable to them. So it's a transition for them, but once they get on it, they roll, they love it.
And so how many head of cattle would you say on a really good month that you run through here?
We average between 1,000 and 1,500 a month, every month pretty much. So
you stay busy, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Now on top of that, y'all also have a meat business, correct? You
Yes.
sell to a local farmer's market.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and just local public around here too, both. So we do. It's just kind of mom and dad like to play with that a little bit, and we feed them out, finish them ourselves, and have them processed here locally at a processor, and it gives the community and people choice for local beef, you know, because there's been a good demand for local beef lately, and it's fun to see people, they really like it and get hooked on it, and they have a lot of return customers. So it's
support local, it's the way to go.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what you're saying is that since it's almost lunchtime, you're about to go feed me a steak, right?
You bet.
All right, let's go.
You
I'm
bet.
hungry. Well, guys, our day has come to an end. Y'all have shown me maybe a quarter of your operation, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to show me around.
You're very welcome, and we enjoyed it. And come back.
Are you sure? Are you gonna feed me steak when I do?
You bet.
That's right.
All right, I'll be back tomorrow.
All right, perfect.
Where will Ag on Wheels be next? Only God knows, and I do too. We'll see you guys later.